It's Fantastic Friday, and today we're going to learn about autobiographies with the autobiography My 4th of July. So our statement for today is good readers read a variety of genres. Autobiography is definitely a genre. All right, so let's start with some charts that give us a little bit more information about biographies and autobiographies. So the first chart says a biography, and we've seen is about biographies, and we've seen biographies in the classroom before. It's a story of a real person's life that is written by another person. So the author is somebody different. Okay, the next chart or poster is about an autobiography. It's the story of a person's life that is written by that person. So the author is the person that it's about. And both of those are nonfiction text, autobiography and biography, and they're informational text. It's information about somebody's life. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to compare a biography and autobiography using a Venn diagram. So in this box, I'm going to write biography. Over here, I'm going to write autobiography because they are the same, but they are also very different. All right, now you guys know about all about Venn diagrams, so you know that on one side I'll put the information about a biography, and on the other side I'll put information about an autobiography, and in the middle, that's where I'll put the things that they have alike or in common. Okay, so nonfiction. Nonfiction's going to go in the middle because both a biography and an autobiography are true, and they are nonfiction. Okay. Has facts. Has facts is also going to go in the middle because if they're true stories, they're all about facts. Has the words like my and I. Has words like my and I. It's going to go in autobiography. Because that would tell us that the author of the story, it's about their life. My things happen in their life. Words like my and I would tell us that the author of this autobiography is them. So it's about them. That's an autobiography characteristic. Is written by somebody else. That's a characteristic of a biography. It's still a story about somebody's life, but it's written by a different author. It's not about, the author is not the person that its life is about, or that the story is about. The story is about the author is going to go in the autobiography side. That goes in the autobiography because that's what the story is about, the author's life. Has words like he and him or she and her. Those words would tell us that somebody else is telling the story or wrote the story. A story about a real person. That would go in the middle. Because a biography or an autobiography that are both stories about real people or a real person? This next one describes challenges and accomplishments in a person's life. That's going to go in both, because both an autobiography and a biography would describe challenges and accomplishments in a person's life. Okay, so that Venn diagram compares a biography with an autobiography. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a biography. The title of our biography is hold on one second. Okay, sorry, it locked me out. Back to our selection. The title is My 4th of July, and this is an autobiography. Just like other genres have elements, our autobiography has its own elements. An autobiography is a story of someone's life told by that person. The author of an autobiography uses the words I and me when talking about his or her life. An autobiography is about real people and places. The events that take place are true. As you read My 4th of July, think about what it makes it an autobiography. All right, so let's read about it. The title is My 4th of July, so right now you need to go into your files and pull out that background knowledge file labeled My 4th of July or labeled 4th of July. Think about 4th of July. How do you celebrate 4th of July? You're probably already making some connections. Why do we celebrate the 4th of July? What kinds of things do other people do to celebrate the 4th of July? Okay. Let's read. My 4th of July. My family has fun on the 4th of July. Mom bakes 8 pies to share at the block party. We wrap red, white, and blue ribbons on our bikes. We laugh as we try to win the sack race. What part of the author's life is the author describing? The author tells about how she celebrates the 4th of July by having fun with family and friends at the block party. Her mother bakes pie. She and her friends play games. These are all things that they really do. Good readers look for facts and opinions as they read. As I read My 4th of July, I learn facts about what people do at block parties, such as share food, ride bikes, and have snacks. I know they're facts because I can prove them by looking at the pictures. Opinions cannot be proven true or false. Let's go to the next page. Dad knows the best place to watch fireworks at night. Crack, bang, they light up the sky above us. Wow, I love that crack, bang. That's onomatopoeia. And actually, it's helping me create a mental image. And I can actually kind of hear the fireworks. I feel like I'm watching fireworks. That's what good readers do. They visualize as they read so that what they're reading makes more sense. What sensory details can you find? How do they help you see and hear what the writer describes? Well, the words crack and bang help me to think about how the fireworks sound. Can you tell how this selection is an autobiography? There's a big hint here, or a big clue. The author uses the words we and us to tell about herself and her family. That makes it an autobiography. Let's look over here. Will the fireworks touch the moon? We laugh and cheer. What a beautiful sight. Is this selection a true story or a fantasy? Well, it's a true story because it tells about real events in the author's life. So, the next part of our lesson is going to be part of me and part with you. You're going to have this file, or you can just use the one here, and it's about Dr. Seuss, and we all know about Dr. Seuss, so we'll definitely be able to make some connections and use our background knowledge here. This is a biography about his life. It's not an autobiography. He didn't write it. It's a biography. So we're going to read it now, and then you're going to be responsible for answering the questions. So you can print this if you'd like and answer the questions and email me a photo of it. Or you can right now get out a sheet of paper or your word work journal. If you're doing that, you might need to pause real quick to get it set up. Once you get that, you can number your paper. You can strike Dr. Seuss at the top, and then you can make a list. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So I'm going to read it, and then you're going to be responsible for the questions on your end. I'll read the questions and the options, and you can just write down your answer. So if you need to pause to go get your paper set up, go ahead, and then come back, and then start it back up. On March 2nd, 1904, Theodore Seuss Geisel was born. Does that name sound familiar? Later in life, he was known as Dr. Seuss, even though he was not a doctor. Many people felt that his books were like medicine. Dr. Seuss was a famous children's book author who wrote many books. These beloved books have been read by millions of children. You've probably read many of his books as well. Do you remember reading a story about green eggs and ham? How about a book about Horton who hatches an egg? These books capture the rhyming sounds of words and letters. Often Dr. Seuss would make up words to go in his books. His books are also filled with creative and interesting creatures. Many of these creatures have been made up, but they seem real. In the 1950s, there was a concern that children were not reading books because they found books boring. A publisher sent Dr. Seuss a list of important words for young readers. He wanted him to write a book that was fun and entertaining using the words. That was how The Cat in the Hat was born. Dr. Seuss went on to write many books that were both fun to read and entertaining. He was a creative author who made an impact on millions of readers. All right, let's get ready for the questions. Number 1. Another title for this reading passage, would be A, Green Eggs and Ham, B, Literacy for the Young, C, Dr. Seuss, the Amazing Author, or D, Dr. Seuss and His Patients. So I'll read it again. Another title for this reading passage would be A, Green Eggs and Ham, B, Literacy for the Young, C, Dr. Seuss, the Amazing Author, or D, Dr. Seuss and His Parents. All right, let's do number 2. Some similarities that are found in all of Dr. Seuss's books include A, rhyming and rhythm, B, words using all letters of the alphabet, C, free verse poetry, or D, non-fiction facts and details about animals. And I'm going to read it again. Some similarities that are found in all of Dr. Seuss's books include A, rhyming and rhythm, B, words using all letters of the alphabet, or C, free verse poetry, or D, non-fiction facts and details about animals. 3. In the last paragraph, what does the word impact mean? A, targeted, B, hit, C, insight, or D, influence. So targeted is like directed towards something. We know what hit means. C is like insight. It's kind of like advice or suggestion. D, influence is like to make somebody do something. So in the last paragraph, what does the word impact mean? A, targeted. B, hit. C, insight. Or D, influence. Now let's do number 4. Based on the information in the passage, how did Dr. Seuss get his name? Many felt his books were like medicine. B, he was creative and young. C, he went to medical school for a few years. D, he had a PhD and was called Dr. Seuss. So, based on information in the passage, how did Dr. Seuss get his name? So, you're going to have to draw an inference for this. A, many felt his books were like medicine. B, he was creative and young. C, he went to medical school for a few years. Or D, he had a PhD and was called Dr. Seuss. Okay, that's all for today. I look forward to seeing your answers.